name is Siska Febriana Sitompul with student ID number 22107-2204, and today I will explain about my understanding about a topic called Discourse and Power. And in this topic, Discourse and Power, there are 4 learning focus. The first one is the definition of CDA. CDA is critical discourse analysis, and the second one is the history of CDA, and the third one is the basic terms and tools in CDA, and the first one is the example of CDA practices. So let's get into it. So the first one is the definition of CDA. So according to an expert, Renkema, critical discourse analysis is a method or an approach in which many central concepts in discourse studies play an important role in society. So the aim of analysis in this approach is to detect, to get to know the societal problems, especially discrimination, because discrimination is one of the biggest problems in society. And the broad concept of discourse in this approach is defined as the ideological perspective. So in this approach, in this method, the discourse itself is seen as the reflection of how power relationship in the society. This critical discourse analysis is also the same. The same age with the discourse itself. They are in the same page, because they when they both introduce, it's not really having a lot of gap, so we can say they in the same age. So but in this approach, the discourse itself, it's seen like the vehicle or the instrument of meaning in a social context, because the conversation analyst oriented in most of the sociologically in analyzing the interaction and gaining the insight about how people succeeded community or society. The critical discourse analysis itself see the discourse as an instrument, like I said before, the discourse itself as the vehicle or the instrument to gain the insight into the societal problems. And the term critical in CDA, critical discourse analysis, it's elaborate. It shows that in this analysis, the expert or the analyst cannot be neutral or cannot be free of values, because they have to be critical towards what is happening in the society they live in. They have to choose between the available options. They cannot be neutral. They have to choose between A or B. And the aim of this kind of analysis is not only to detect manipulation or discrimination, but also it's to understand the essence of the societal problems that happens within the society. Factually, the discourse itself is seen as a form of societal action or a political act that can be criticized. And the second topic is the history of the critical discourse analysis. So as I mentioned earlier, the critical discourse analysis, it explores the connection between the use of the language and also the societal and political context in which it occurs. It explores many topics such as gender, ethnicity, equality, cultural differences, multiculturalism, ideology, identity, and etc. But the keyword to this approach is to connect discourse to the social and political context, as it is mentioned earlier. And in critical discourse analysis also, it investigates the ways in which language construct and is constructed by the social relationship, because between language and also the social relationship is they are interconnected, so they can influence each other. They can influence language can influence the social relation, and also social relation can influence the language itself. So it happens vice versa. And also the vice versa that I explained earlier is also include the um, tracing like the overlap ideologies from the linguistic features to a text, like the unpacking of particular biases and the ideological presuppositions underlying the text, like the relating to the text to the other text, like the intertextuality, and to people's experiences and beliefs. So like it can be connected to other texts and also to the experience of the people within the society. And critical discourse analysis, it first start with the assumption that language use is always social, and the discourse both reflects the constructions of the social world. And critical discourse analysis, it's explore various issues like I mentioned earlier, like gender, ideology, identity, equality, or multiculturalism, and many more. But they they analyze it to they analyze it and reflected it in particular text. And from that, from the analysis earlier, like the it can be proceed the challenge of the text, and it can tracing the ideologies and make another assumptions about like the use of discourse, and then relating it to the different views of the word, or the different experiences or cultures or norms and beliefs. And some of the area that has been studied by the expert are like the social and political issues and power relations, and also discourse in social relations, and ideologies in discourse. Um, Actually, the critical discourse analysis is first introduced at the end of the 20th century. So, in 1980s, if I'm not mistaken, there are expert um, which called Verklo, if I'm not mistaken, also Van Dijk. So they are one of the pioneers of critical discourse analysis theory. So the first thing why they introduce CDA is to study about the relationship between the language, the power, and also the society. And the roots of it can be traced back to the origins, which are the linguistics, sociology, and also the cultural studies. Like the branches of the history, it can be sorted into, like, the first one is the foundation theory. Like the CDA is based on the theory by Michael Foucault, like that talk about how language construct the social realities and the power relation. We also study this in literature, in the subject CLTC, if I'm not mistaken. So there is a theory about the relationship between language and also the societal problems that that's said by the theorist Michael Foucault. And the second one is the emerge of the CDA is that I said earlier in 1980s. There was an expert called Verklo that introduced this CDA, and the next and then he enlarged it into like the three-dimensional framework, such as text, discourse, and practice. Text, discourse, practice, and also social practice. So it emphasizing the interplay between language and also social context. And the application of the CDA itself is it's to be applicable into various domains such as media studies, education, political discourse, analyzing how language can contribute into social inequality and ideology. And the current study about CDA is continue to evolve and incorporating insight from the multimodality, and it can also study about critical theory and intersectionality, and also reflecting the complexity of the contemporary communication and societal issues. And the third one is the basic terms and tools. The first one is of course discourse, because CDA is critical discourse analysis, right? So discourse refers to both spoken and also written discourse. And then the second one is in intertextuality. It's like how the relationship between one text to another text. And the third one is power. Power, like, is the ability to influence or control the outcomes in the social context. And the fourth one is the hegemony. The hegemony is the when one group is dominated the one bigger group. And the next one is ideology, and also framing, like how Foucault, if I'm not mistaken, make the three-dimensional frameworks. And the next one is agency. Agency is like the capacity of the individuals of groups to act independently and make choices. And the tools are of course textual analysis, also social practice analysis, and critical questions, and corpus linguistics, like to use the computational method to analyze like the large text for pattern, and also the marginalized or trend in language use. And the first one is the example of critical discourse analysis. The example is such like the media analysis itself, like how we analyze articles, how to look like who is represented by this article. And the second one is political discourse, is when we examining the politician's speech. For example, like when we like in interpreting class, we have to watch Kamala Harris speech. Kamala Harris is an American politician. She also will become the one of the candidates of the president of the USA. So we can also see her her ideology through her speech. And the third one is the educational settings, like in analyzing the textbook or the classroom discourse. And social media is also studying about how we study the online interaction, because when we interact with people online and offline, it's totally different. And the fifth one is the advertising, is how we analyze the advertisement and see how they show the stereotypes or the customer identities. For example, like the advertisement of the plus size fashion advertisement, like I saw that discourse in social media a while ago, like where a brand from USA, they promote like plus size fashion, but there are pro and contra about it. And I think, yeah, that's one of the example of the advertising of as the example of the CDA practices. And the last one is the health the discourse. And in this one, we investigating like public health campaign to see like how language shape perception of health issues, such as like smoking or mental health. For example, like we can use this CDA of health discourse to analyze like the framing of health behavior and their social implication. Like for example, a while ago I saw a discourse on Twitter, like there are comments that like if you smoke you die, if you don't smoke you will die eventually. So one of this discourse is kind of explain the health discourse itself, because a lot of people have perception like that. Like it's not only that one person, but even in Indonesia, a lot of people smoking, and they also agree on that statement. So if you smoke you're gonna die, and also if you don't smoke you're gonna die. And yeah, that's one of the sad fact. So yeah, that's all that I can say in this presentation. Thank you very much.